All right, welcome back to the second lesson. In this one, we're going to do two things. We're going to adjust friction in the world to make the ball slowly slow down, and we're going to add kickers, which are as a ball that it's a round object, kind of like with a spring. When your ball hits it, it kind of pushes it away and adds a little bit of speed. Okay, so those two things, and then this one will be done. Let's pretend you just came into Scratch. So this is what you would see if you just logged in. You would click on your name and then go to your My Stuff and then click on the one that you made. If you made a copy and changed it, that's good. If not, you can open this one and make a copy and then change the name and voila, there it is. And then say see inside. And I have to reactivate my video. Okay, there I am. Okay, so you may have to, if you want to do the under the pen, you might have to add that in too. Only when you need it. It's easy to add, so no big deal. Okay, so let's get started. The first step is let's make sure it still works. So everything's great, speeds up, slows down, everything's good. One thing that I noticed though that like I could speed it up and it stays fast because it only looks at the change speed when I'm using the up arrow. It's just doing weird things. So I'm going to take the speed limits and move them to a higher priority, I guess. I'm going to put them right here. Both speed limits. Take them out and just put them up here at the top. Let's see if that helps our speed limit problem here, okay? So we can't speed up. So I try to go to 6 and it just pushes it back down. Okay, what if I push it up? It says 53, but it's not going 53. Like if that's not 100. So it's working, but yeah, not bad. Okay, so that helps the issue. There are other math equations, other things that you could do, but that's the easiest one that I know of. It does have that problem of you can hold it at 26. So anyway, all right. So let's keep going. Another thing is like if we go to 0 and now we can go reverse. That's not right. Okay. There's got to be a way to fix this. Let me show you a better way. All right, there are ways to fix it, but I'm not going to show you because I want you to experiment with that. Okay, so I'm going to leave a couple of flaws in the code, but only to make you try to fix things on your own. That's not a big problem. It's just a little thing because it does stop, and you're not going to be using the arrow keys when you're playing the game anyway. All right. Anyway, so that'll work for now. We'll call it good. The other thing I want you to do is at the very beginning of the game, I want you to set your speed to the speed that you want to be at. So set the speed to, let's say if you really like 15, it'll always start at 15. So it always starts at 15, no matter how fast or slow you were going when the game ended before. When you start a new game, the ball is going to start out at that speed that you like. Okay. You can also say, hey, I always wanted to start in this one position and in this direction, and we'll be adding those in later. Okay, so there's that. Now let's do friction. Okay, so we're going to go to right here, click on backdrop. Now your code disappears. That's because now we're programming stuff into the game itself, the world. When we're on the ball, we're only programming what the ball does. Now we're programming everything. So if we add other moving objects, we can apply friction to those things as well. So we're going to make a variable. make a variable. The variable's name is going to be friction. Okay. So let's type in friction. We'll say okay. So now we have friction. You're probably wondering, where did speed go? It's there, but it's only on the ball. Okay. So don't worry about it. Okay. So ball is there and stage is here. We're in the stage. So the code is gone. The other variable's gone. We made one that's called friction. And friction is a global variable, so the ball can see it and stuff. So, but we're gonna put some stuff in here. All right, so we're gonna play with friction for a little bit. And what I wanna do first is, when the game is started, we're going to make sure that friction is set to 1. And you'll see why in a minute. Okay, we're gonna be using that 1 for some math. All right. And then we're going to have another one to change the friction. And to change the friction, let's do that. Change the friction by going to events. But now instead of the flag, we're going to use, now it says space, but you want to change that to F. But we were going to use the letter F to change friction. And we're going to go negative 0.001. So 2 zeros and then a 1. So we're going to slightly subtract from 1, and then we're going to take that number and times it to the speed. So the speed just slowly gets down bit by bit and slows down the ball. We haven't done the math yet. We're just putting the numbers in to use them. All right, now I want to duplicate that, not change, get rid of change. We're going to do set. So we have a set, and a change. This one is going to be an R. Okay, so this is an F, this is an R, as in reset back to 1 again. So we start out at 1, and every time we hit the letter F, it's going to subtract 0.001. All right, now let's go back to the ball, and let's use friction now. If you go to variables, friction is in there, and if I click on it, I can go back and forth. If I hit the letter F, you can see right there, it's going down. Okay, it's going down, 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 down. Now, if I R, should reset, just like our code here. If it doesn't, then look at your code here in the stage and fix it. Going back to ball. Now, we're going to do some math every time we do the forever loop. And the forever loop is basically goes through about 30 times a second. Guesstimating right there. Okay, so we're going to set our speed. It says 0, so notice how the ball just stopped. Okay, now let's do the math. To do math, we use operators. We're going to use a times. Now, you can't just type in the math. You have to use these operators. And we'll use actual, instead of typing in, we have to use these and just drag it in. Friction times speed, or speed times friction. It doesn't matter the order because it's times. All right, now, actually, you know it does. Let's just, oh my gosh, it might matter. Okay, it doesn't. Anyway, let's hit play, see what happens. Now, what is friction? It's 1. So if I took 1 times 5, it would be 5 over and over again. 1 times 5, 1 times 5. If I did that 30 times a second. Now, hit the letter F and watch what happens. Boom. Now it's timesing it by 0.999. And it's doing that very, very fast. You can see how fast the number's changing. And so the speed is slowly going down. If I hit F again, it'll slow down twice as fast. And again, even more and more and more and more and more and more. Okay, slowly but surely we're slowing it down more and more. The more I add friction in, the the more it goes down. So I can add in more speed by hitting the up arrow and then let go, and it slows it down again. So what you need to do is kind of figure out what's your favorite friction. You can hit reset and find, in the up arrow, figure it out. Once you find the friction you like the best, you can go here and change friction to what you like if you want, or you can leave it at 1 and constantly have to change it every time you start the game to get the one you liked. So it's up to you. Okay, so go back to the ball, and friction's done. I'm gonna hit reset just to do just a tiny bit for me. Okay, so I'm just doing the smallest amount for now. If you want it smaller, you can add another 0 to friction, or the change friction right here. Add another 0 if you want it to be even less of an incremental change. You really want to be picky with it, or type in exactly what you want. Now, let's talk about kickers. Okay, we're going to bring in an already made kicker. So we're going to choose a sprite and pick something round this time. Again, I'm going to do a beach ball. So here's this beach ball, and it's round. If you want to go in and go to the costume and change how it looks, that's fine, but do not move it. If you move it, there you get problems. Okay, don't move anything, keep it centered. All right, now, so there's a beach ball. I don't want it to be called a beach ball. I want to change it to actually be what it's supposed to be. Call it kicker. Okay, go back to ball. We have a kicker. Now let's program it to react. All right, so sensing is where we need to go. Actually, if first. If stop. Not if else, just plain old if. Here we go. If we are touching the ball. So if and then sensing for the touch. Touching, it defaults to mouse pointer, just change it to kicker. What's cool about giving it names is it lists it. You can just choose the one you want and make sure you choose the right one. So if it's touching the kicker, I want it to be pushed away from it. But in order to push away from it, I have to turn the ball. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of things. So if I hit it straight on, it would shoot straight out. But if I grazed it, I would want it to shoot out this way. So I can't just have it shoot straight back out, no matter how it comes in. Because if it just barely grazes it, I want it to just shoot off at an angle. So there's a little bit of math involved. Very easy math, you'll be fine. Here we go. So the first thing we want to do if it comes in is so if it's coming this way, what I would have it do is motion, point towards the kicker. So if I click on this button here, boom, look at it. And then I would have it turn 180, boom, and then take off. So as soon as it hits, points towards it, turns 180, and shoots off the other way. Pretty cool, right? So we're just going to make it do that. So point towards the kicker, turn 180, and it'll just keep moving away. It'll just come out of there and keep going. So let's try it. Boom. Okay, so it's turning away, but I want to do one more thing. I want to give it a little boost of speed. So what do? We go to our variables and we change the speed. Okay, I know it says friction. That's just because it's the last thing we put in. It defaults to that. So we can always change it. So we're going to change the friction, but not friction. Sorry, speed. Boom, speed by 5. And it's freaking out right now because I'm typing inside of it. Stop. Play. There we go. Now, let's add some friction in. And it should speed up to 25 every time it hits. Well, not 25, but it should add 5 to it. So it gives it a little bit of a boost every time it hits it. But if it's already going, if it tries to push it past 25, the speed limit will kick in that we put in up at the top. That speed limit will make sure it doesn't just keep going faster and faster. If you take that out, it'll just keep going faster and faster if your friction doesn't slow it down until you reach a super fast speed. Too fast for it to react to do what it needs to do. So don't take it out unless you just do it for a little bit. Okay, so there we go. There's a kicker. It's fun. It's great. But let's put another kicker in. So let's click on it down here. Don't hit the trash can. Right click, duplicate. Now it says kicker 2. Now what will happen if we play the game? It goes right through kicker 2, but it works fine with kicker 1. Well, why is that? Well, we look at the code. It says kicker, not kicker 2. We have to, if we want it to do both, right click, let's duplicate it. Let's change this to kicker 2 and this to kicker 2. Don't forget to do both of them. Okay, and if you slap it in there, all of a sudden it should work with both kickers. Okay, so there we go. 2 kickers, both working, no problem. Don't forget if you move a kicker, you have to click back on the ball to get the code to show up again. Okay. All right. So there they are. But a lot of people wonder why, if I had like 5 kickers on here, that'd be a lot of code to put in there. Is there a way to make it so that we can make it work a little bit better? And so I'll show you a way to shorten it up a little bit. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something called make a function. Okay. And if you did the code.org lessons before you did this, you should know what a function is. Okay. It's a block that does a whole bunch of stuff in its place. So here we go. We're going to add an input. Well, first of all, we got to give it a name. Basically, we want to tell it what to do when it hits a kicker. So if I hit a kicker, oh my gosh, kicker. So if I hit a kicker, what do I do? Okay. And I'm going to need some information. I need to know which kicker I hit. So which kicker? Well, I'm not going to put in a question mark. That might cause a problem. So, and I can hit this run without screen refresh. Now I'll make it run super fast. Okay, which is kind of cool. So kind of speeds up the game. This right here is trying to run fast too, but this will make it run even faster. So this is a thing that it creates this and it just floats there and you're like, what do I do with this? Well, you tell it what to do. If I hit a kicker, okay, now, so there's all this line of code and I'm going to replace it with just 2 of these. So I'm going to say kicker and I'm going to say kicker 2. Now, you must make sure that you type it the exact same way that's on the name. Kicker 2, capital K, number 2, no spaces, exactly the way that it's spelled. And if you want to copy paste, I don't know if that'll work or not. I've never tried that. Another thing that I've had people, sometimes they accidentally have a space before it. There's all sorts of weird things I've had students do that makes it mess up. You have to be very, very careful not to mess up the name. Okay, so basically it says, hey, run the code that's in hit kicker, but replace this with the word kicker wherever I put it. So if I put this in here and in here, voila, I can get rid of this. boom, gone. And if it runs it with kicker 2, it's the same thing as the code with kicker 2. If I run it with kicker, it now runs it with kicker. So basically you can, if you know it's a code that you use a lot over and over again, and you only need to change the name, then use this method. So we're going to also have the same things for hitting the flippers, hitting walls, hitting pegs. And so you'll only have to just put one block in for each thing, each one of these things here. And then the function will take care of the rest of the job. And then you only have to program it once. Okay. The only thing you have to worry about is telling it which kicker, and you do that by typing it in the block itself when you call it. Okay. So then you say, hey, go try this. And if it's not touching it, it won't do anything. If it is touching it, it will. Kind of cool. Okay. So run, and it's going to run and it's going to work. Only going to turn on the light. Moving around. Here we go. Okay. So I think that's the end of this worksheet or this video or whatever you want to call it, number 2. And we're going to go File, Save, and then stop, File, Save. Save it while it's not running, okay? Just to be safe. Then File, Save a copy. Okay, now once you have a copy, get rid of the word copy, and then change this to a 3. And this is what we'll use when we continue in video 3. Okay, just save it, and then it'll be that name. All right, so don't forget to do that each time. And that'll be the end.